issues, they're too complicated to do too quickly.
Okay, Mr. Kerr, I think that's a good idea. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Nagelbauer. The gentleman from Texas, Mr. Weber, is recognized.
Thank you. Mr. Kerr, you said earlier isolated wetlands were not regulated by the EPA according to a Supreme Court case. Can you give me the name of that case?
Yes, SWANK.
S-W-A-N-K?
SWANCC, I think, Southern Waste Management Authority.
Okay.
That was a county in Chicago.
Perfect. Thank you. Mr. Eisenberg, you said manufacturers use 1/3 of the energy in the United States. I have 5 ports in Texas. We export a whole lot of things, and we have a whole lot of Petrotex chemical industry and oil and natural gas and on and on and on. When I speak to groups, I often say that the things that make America great are the things that America makes. How do we do that? With a stable, reliable, affordable, dependable energy supply. Mr. Kerr, would you agree with that? That America is great because of the things we make, and we have a good energy supply to fuel, for lack of a better word, our industry?
Yes.
Mr. Kovacs, would you agree with that? Dr. Paulson, would you agree with that?
I don't know enough to comment. I think you're right, but I don't know.
Mr. Eisenberg, would you agree with that?
I do.
Good. Mr. Eisenberg, you also said that 65% of the controls the EPA was mandating were not identifiable. Is that true?
Yes, it's EPA's term of art. They call them unknown controls. They just can't tell us what they are.
And Mr. Kovacs, if I remember your testimony, you said that the EPA itself said this was going to be the most expensive regulation in history, but that it wouldn't impact states.
Yes, they have this technical where if it's a mandate, they don't, and the state has to do it, they don't count it as
so that was your comment, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. So let me come back to you, Mr. Kovacs. It's the most expensive regulatory rule in history, but it's not going to impact states. Does that sound commonsensical to you, Mr. Kovacs?
Well, that's been the point of my testimony. The Congress has legislated for years common sense, and you haven't gotten it.
So is your answer no? It's not commonsensical.
It's not commonsensical.
Mr. Kerr, would you agree that that statement doesn't sound commonsensical? It's the most expensive regulation in history, but it won't impact states.
I think that's nonsensical.
Dr. Paulson, would you agree with that?
Sir, I have no idea what the context is, so I can't comment.
Mr. Eisenberg, would you agree with that?
I would agree with that.
Okay. Mr. Eisenberg, when an energy plant builds a plant, and I had a nuclear plant in my district when I was state rep, when someone comes in to build an energy plant, permitting and all, the process takes 3 to 5 years?
If you're lucky.
If we're lucky. Okay. So if it's that hard on us, and the EPA is making it harder and harder and harder, and it's billions of dollars, is it any wonder, does it surprise you that some of those investors that have that kind of money to invest actually send that money overseas? Does that surprise you?
It doesn't at all. Streamlining that process is a priority.
Does yes or no, Dr. Paulson, does that surprise you?
Again, it's beyond my expertise, sir.
It's above your level of pay grade?
I don't use that terminology, but it's beyond my expertise.
Mr. Kovacs, does that surprise you? Mr. Kerr?
I'll say the energy policy is outside my purview.
Okay. When I was a state rep, I came up here to Congress. I came up here to D.C. in March of 2010. I was on the Environmental Reg Committee in Texas to a environment and the Energy and the Environment Committee meeting, National Conference of State Legislators, NCSL. Heard with my own ears an undersecretary for the EPA back then say that they wanted to permit farms because of global warming, greenhouse gases. Average farm permit, $26,500 per farm. Now, they had done the math. And, Doctor, I trust you can do math. Okay, good. Because you didn't seem to want to weigh in on most of those other questions. They had calculated the income stream. Now, this is their words, not mine. A revenue stream of $600 million. Turns out, that the streams on farms and ranches aren't the only streams the EPA is interested in. Okay, $600 million. Now, is the EPA really only interested in science? when they say they want to permit farms and it produces a revenue stream of $600 million, does that sound like they're interested in more than science, Mr. Eisenberg?
So I don't know that I can effectively answer that one, but I mean, they need to find a balance.
They do. They're going to kill our energy supply if we're not careful. And Dr. Paulson, we're going to wind up, the poor kids are going to all be broke. They're going to be healthy, but we're all going to be broke. That's the danger of losing jobs and sending our energy overseas, because China and Mexico and India are not going to follow suit. So I'm going to stop there. That's my editorial. Mr. Chairman, I appreciate you. You go over, I yield back.
Thank you, Mr. Weber. And the gentleman from Alabama, Mr. Palmer, is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to start out by addressing air quality. And I have here the air quality section from a report done by the Alabama Policy Institute that shows that